My name is Dr. Fong. Welcome to today's mini series. Okay, we have this mini masterclasses on human capital, okay, on leadership, organized by Aventis. All right. Let me share my slides with you. Okay, let's get to business. So today we're going to talk about the the topic on the future of HR function and HR BP, or what we call business partnering. Now, this is a topic which we conduct at the MBA level. Okay, it's one of the major core topics which we teach the MBA students. So I'm plucking out some bits and pieces, and of course, contextualizing in a Singapore context to give you a big picture, right? This is me, a little bit about myself. I think some of you have heard of me. I run my own consultancy, Sideline. Okay. Aside from that, I'm also an academic professor. I look after all the psychology programs at Aventis. I'm also a consultant to two big MNCs. One, of course, is the United Healthcare Group. All right, I'm their Asia Director for Clinical and Client Services. Basically, what I do here, I look after the Employee Assistance Program. It is an outsourced service for those big MNCs. So I look after 4 major accounts: the people from the banking and finance, oil and gas, biopharma, and IT. Okay, so you can see my plate is very full. I was actually based in Hong Kong for about 8 years, looking after the global accounts of these people for the United Healthcare Group. So now, what is Employee Assistance Program? It's like something like a counseling service, okay, where the company will buy for their employees, where they can actually call and then talk to a third party. Of course, the thing is confidential. All things shared is confidential. We do not share back with the company at all. Okay, it's a benefit for the employees, and usually you find this a lot in the MNCs. Okay, and very well taken up by what we call the foreign talents. Okay, especially those who have been relocated to other countries. They use this service quite a bit. All right. Aside from that, okay, I'm also a consultant with WSG. Okay, I look after, I think I'm the only psychologist there, looking after many of the unemployed PMATs. Okay, helping them with career counseling, looking at their CVs, polishing them, their interview skills, and all that. Okay, so we have these monthly public workshops where we have about 500, 700 people coming in, okay, to learn. Interestingly, how a psychologist view CV writing and interview is very different from a career coach. All right, we come from a point of behavioral. Okay, so some of the companies I consult, I believe you have seen some of these before. Many of you, I believe, have their account like Facebook and all that. Okay, so these are all the clients I service. Of course, there are more. I got no space to put. I just put the major ones here. All right. Okay, I'm also one of the thought leaders, especially in the area of future of work. I always get invited by a lot of these consultants like Deloitte, PwC to come and give some sharing of some of the research and what are some of the mega trends, okay, of this future of work. So this is I can share this link with you later. Okay, you can watch this podcast on YouTube. It's there. This was, I think, it was last year. Yes. Okay. Some of my publications, together with MSF, I came up with this mental health toolkit for employers, a very important, very resourceful product, especially in our time and age right now. One of the major topics came up during Sunday Times, How to Be Happy at Work, was featured, I think, just last year, Sunday. And something which is very relevant to organization. Okay, I did this as a doctoral research about the growing diversity and multicultural issues at the workplace, especially in the Singapore context. Reason because Singapore is a global city where we have a lot of foreign talents. Okay, so what are some of the impact and implications of having foreign workers working in Singapore? Right, so that was my doctoral thesis. So you can find all these actually all on Google. Yeah. All right, so today's agenda will be exploring the role and influence of HR BPs. Okay, understand the knowledge and the skills needed for HR BPs on a global context. And last but not least, recognize the evolution of the people functions and HR BP. All right. This is a very broad titles, but I will granular the thing down. I like to scope the thing. I like to see this role, human resource business partner from a Singapore context, okay, where they manage people's strategy. Okay. To give you a very big picture, what's happening in the world today, especially in the area of employment, you have all the A, B, C, D, E, F technology skills. Is it coming out? Wait, now let me see. There we are. Okay, if you notice A, B, C, D, E, F, G. All right. So as a HRBP, you need to look at these things across the globe, across all sectors, and sorry. Wait, what happened? Okay, across all sectors and across all roles. Okay, so the profile of a HRBP is very broad and very wide. Right. Now, I would like to address HRBP not only from a commercial, but also in even like, let's say like social service sector as well. Okay, because we are, even in the social service sector, also we are employing foreign talents as well. Right, because of a shortage of manpower in Singapore. Okay, now then how do you practice HRBP as even in any sector, whether it's social service sector, hospitality sector, of course the business sector, okay, on all sectors, right? Does the skill and knowledge cut across all the sectors? Yes, it's just a little bit of contextualization, right? Let's look at some data which I pulled together. Okay, I did some research on some of these articles. On the left, we start on the left by PwC, Millennials at Work. Okay, how they reshape the workplace. Of course, from the economics of Oxford University, Global Talents 2021, right? PwC is navigating the rising tide of uncertainty. PwC is upskilling, building confidence in an uncertain world. Okay, and then a CEO report of the workforce of the future. Okay, and the World Economic Forum's of the Future of Work Report 2020. So as a practice researcher, as a consultant like myself, I need to have this kind of information, okay, where these people have, consultants have done their data analytics so that, you know, I bring it to the table, especially as a consultant. And as a HRBP, you also need to have all this kind of information as well to know what are some of the trends, current and emerging trends happening in the HR arena, right? So today's topic is about the evolution of HR business partner. Basically 4 things: to understand what is work, how is work being defined today. Next is about how we define talent, how do we define business, and how does a HR business partner defines culture. So basically these 4 pillars, okay, which we'll cover this afternoon. Please jump in if you all have any questions for me, okay? All right. Okay, borrowing from PwC's The Way We Work in 2025 and beyond, okay? I'm not going to bore you with all the data, but just to give you the executive summary of 5 points which they have researched on. They being talent management, compensation benefits, mobility, HR organization, culture and change. So you can see how generic all these topics are. So regardless of industries, all these 5 are all very relevant. Okay, so let's look at each of it. So we talk about the future of work. Okay, how do I define it? The future of work and digitalization. They were saying that digitalization and automation will make 20 to 30% of job obsolete over the next 5 to 10 years. In fact, now. Okay, but only 16% of companies feel they are ready for that change. Demographic shifts will have a tremendous impact on the composition of workforce and working practices. Okay, so let's talk in practical terms. What does this mean? The roles being affected, okay, if you identify, seem to be those who are individual contributors. All right. It is impossible to what you call it, debunk the role of a leader okay, because you still need leadership in the company. But interestingly, those kind of roles that have been replaced by technology seems to be roles of the individual contributors. Okay, now they are highly efficient domain specialists who are not keen in moving up the management leadership role. Reason because one of the areas when you go up the ranks, the one particular skill is needed is actually the soft skills. Okay, all right, particularly one particular soft skill, critical, which I'll be sharing with you, and the talent pipeline gets choked. So if this individual contributor doesn't move up, the talent pipeline gets choked, meaning to say that those who are under them, the direct reports, cannot grow or go up, so resulting in high attrition. Okay. So this is one thing HRBP needs to take consideration of, all right? Apart from managing all these kind of talents, you also have to see how healthy, how broad is your talent pipeline, that everyone has a chance to be organically moving up. Okay, if they don't move up, then they're moving out. All right, and the people below cannot move up. All right, let's move to the next one. We talk about talent management again here. Okay, major trends seen in the market are increased flexibility at work, the ability to design your own job. Okay, these days JDs are now being designed by the person who's in the job, not so much of what the job has already been told to you what to do. Okay, open and ongoing feedback plus diverse career models. 49% of our survey participants think that employees will be working for more than one employer at a time in the future. Okay, it's already taking place. HR's challenge will be to efficiently manage this diverse career landscape. Okay, let's talk in practical terms here. Specifically, the current emerging generation of millennials, also known as the idea generation. Okay, if you have read Business Times, I think was it yesterday or today, this thing was brought up. Okay, shorter attention span. They are not keen on building a career portfolio with just one organization, but a few. Okay, their motivation and hygiene factors are vastly different. Okay, from the Generation Y, the what you call it, baby boomers also. All right, so they are of a FOMO. I believe you know it's FOMO. Anyone? What's FOMO?
Fear of missing out.
Yeah, what about YOLO? What about YOLO? Anyone knows what YOLO?
You only live once.
Okay, and I just found this morning, the new one called NBD. Anyone know what's NBD? Anybody want to try what's NBD? It's a new one, it's a new term. Anybody want to try?
No big deal.
That's right. Okay, so these are the type of emerging employees, okay, with this sort of mindset. They're capable, they're very talented, and they're very fast. Okay, so as a result, today organizations, even HR, BPs would need to redefine the term talent before they can manage. All right, can they still operate in that same model? Maybe we call it the pre-COVID versus now. It could be it can be very challenging. Okay, and these days you are managing remote teams, right? Remote teams as well. Then how do you talent manage when they are working remotely, like work from home? Okay, you don't get to see them in the office. Okay, now that's one of those areas where a HRBP needs to consider, especially in the area of talent management. All right, let's look at the next one. Compensation benefits. The Herzberg XY theory on motivation and hygiene factor will be very relevant in HRBP strategies. Okay, measuring the motivation on the y-axis and the x-axis is the hygiene factors. Okay, because everybody's hygiene factors are very different. Okay, so getting them to work is one thing, but how do you compensate? How do you reward them? Because they define reward. Everybody define rewards very differently, right? Work-life culture versus flexi working hours and rewards are different things to different people. There we are. When we talk about compensation benefits, we talk about the total annual package. Would be one critical factor to consider in the strategic plans of HRBP. In the total annual package, there are three things, basically your base salary, bonus, and allowance. Okay, so how do we adjust this thing to the different type of talents which you are managing? So bring Herzberg's theory into this picture as an underpinning theory will be very, very relevant here. Okay. Now we talk about mobility. Global mobility will grow in importance. We experience this as very much in Singapore. Okay, particularly for large firms with more than 100,000 employees, assignments will move to short-term projects of up to 3 months or a year. There will be more cross-border commuters living and working in different countries. We're also seeing the rapid emergence of employee mobility between different companies as organizations start to exchange talent on a temporary basis. Okay, so building this huge ecosystem here. Let's talk in practical terms here. Now, given the long-term effects of the pandemic, the current global, regional, EMEA, APAC, and other international roles will be remote. Okay, hence you notice this term is coming up, global or regional remote roles. So you are in Singapore, working in Singapore from home, all right, but your role, your bandwidth, your sphere of work is actually global. Okay, one of the impact would be time. Okay, because like what's markets being closed in Singapore, okay, on the other side of the world in New York, markets opening. Okay, if you're looking after a global role, remote role. So this is one of the biggest challenge here. Remaining in one own host country, but assuming a larger portfolio of a wider geographical footprint than we are, incumbents will need to consider time zone as an important factor than just the attractive packages. Okay, so because of the context of pandemic where people don't really travel so much now, so they're being assigned or taking up roles remotely, but the bandwidth, the geographical area has expanded. Okay, so you may be working day in Singapore and then at night also go to work because you're looking after the other side of the world. Okay, so these are some things to consider. HR organization. We are definitely moving HR corporate services into fully digital, not only in terms of the application and technology, but also in the way data science is used to understand the workforce, equip employees with digital skills, and to develop new business models. HR departments will work with other companies as part of a network ecosystem. For instance, for hiring and sharing talent, 81% say HR will follow the trend of becoming a center of excellence with transactional work outsourced or processed offshore. So to save costs or because of costs, some work is being outsourced, all right? So keeping very lean talent and what we call individual contributors or leaders or managers. Okay, certain processes could be outsourced already. Okay, even more. All the reports on emerging trends of HRBP are pointing to the applications of science, like data analytics. However, more than just data mining, HRBP must be able to elucidate the narratives of the data. Okay, you can find people to churn out, glean through data, but that's not important. That's not really critical. The next part two is how do you tell the story of the data? Okay, providing predictive analysis towards business planning and directions. So aside from people analytics, understanding market trends, and using correct data for scalability of human capital management. Okay, so data is going to play a very big role in HRBP. Okay, so that gives that kind of evidence base to the work of human resource. Last but not least, we have culture and change. Digitalization is seen as the most important driver for cultural change. Agility and the ability for employees to embrace change are therefore vital. Developing a strong and compelling company's culture will become a differentiator and distinctive factor in engaging and retaining employees, particularly for companies sharing employees in their networks. So what we're talking about. Now, defining the work culture in an organizational context is the bloodline of any business. Okay, let's break it down. Culture would mean the company's values, the company's beliefs, the cultural norm, the executive norms, the organizational norms, behavior, okay, the SOPs, corporate values put into action that underpins the mission and the vision of the organization. Okay. When we speak of culture, we speak of an ecosystem of stakeholders as well, identifying them into different tiers in the context of a blockchain, building a great network of business collaborators and influencers towards sustainability. I believe in a simple language, you'll be building an ecosystem of not only internal stakeholders and external stakeholders as well. But the question is, who are the core players and who are secondary players? And then how do you put them together in this blockchain? All right. Questions now? Let me stop share for a while. Any question at this point? Anybody has any questions? Am I going too fast? Perlene, any question? Hafiz, Farah, Doreen, Claudia, any question? Tina, any question? Tina, is Tina there?
No questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. Then I'll just carry on. Okay. Now, we are looking at a few things here. How is business defined in the context of HR? HR used to be very administrative, right? Very management, but now it has moved up the ranks to build their business acumens and to think business strategy as well. Okay, not just only managing the HR spectrum of HR processes. How will HR as a business partner be measured? How do you measure the performance of a HR being a business partner here? Next, how will job roles be redesigned? Next, how will talents even be measured? Next, what does the growth path for such talents look like? Okay, so can you see the expanded role of a HR BP? Okay, aside from just moving talents all over here and there, okay, from different geographical areas, even within Singapore also. Like I have a client, my client Murata, they have two plants, one in Tuas and the other one's in Yishun. They also move their talents to different plants, okay, even within Singapore, right? Not only just Malaysia, but within Singapore, like Yishun and Tuas. Okay. Now, how do you measure these sort of talents, okay, that you keep, right? How do you redesign those job roles? Okay. The HRBP needs to sit down with the C-suite people and talk about this sort of strategies. Okay. So now you are conversing on a very strategic level. It's not just HR admin. Right? And of course, putting in place these sort of measurements to measure a person's talent, his competency and skills. How is business defined in a HR context? Okay, maybe we put in a context by providing strategic foresight. In the area of BILA, I came up with this word called BILA. B for building the business digitally. I for innovation and technology solutions. L, leveraging on soft skills. A, analytics to predict and inform. When I teach these PMATs, especially when they're writing their CV, okay, many of you know, your executive summary, okay, you will have a portion there where you put core skills worth highlighting, all right? Then this is where they will build the word BILA, and then they will articulate what is that skill they may have, or they have done something of this BILA, right? So this is the context, but what was the skill? So this is what we call the descriptive, okay? Then the skill is called the prescriptive, right? If they have done any of this, all right? So this is a very good model which I use, okay, for them to craft their CV, okay, especially in the executive summary. Now we talk about how will HR as a business partner be measured. Okay. Number one, of course, using assessments for better selection and recruitment. Building a comprehensive skill competency framework, which definitely is needed. I notice a lot of companies do have this, but there's no ownership of this kind of framework. Okay. Once if you don't operationalize this skill competency framework, then how do you do your performance appraisals? Okay. Because you use your performance appraisal to measure against the skills competency framework, you see. Right. Profiling internal stakeholders, current career development plans. All right, what is their career development plan if they were to stay in the company? Right. A comprehensive talent pipeline for leadership, management, and individual contributors. That means there are actually 3 tracks: leadership track, management track, and a specialist track. Right. If there's time later, I'll show you a skill which I built for a company. All right, for this 3 tracks: leadership, management, and individual contributor. How would job roles be redesigned today? Okay, so number 1, going beyond the performance appraisal processes. Okay, empowering the employees to define specific role scopes and deliverables based on the project. So now we are empowering the employee. We don't tell the employee what to do. Okay, we tell the employee, this is the project. What do you think you can contribute? So there is this kind of conversation happening. Okay, and today job roles are very fluid. Okay, like we always hear this, what I joined the company for, I don't think I'm not even doing that anymore. I'm doing all sorts of funny things. I'm multitasking. Okay, that job has already been redesigned, or you're taking more things now. Okay, and trusting the employee as a subject matter expert in his domain to be able to write what he thinks is best. Okay, that he can contribute to that project or the key deliverables. Last but not least, job roles are no more silos. Okay, but meeting both the hard and the soft skills to align to the business needs. Okay, so can you see the portfolio of a HRBP has gone very, very wide. How will talents be measured? Engagement with talents using the IDP. Okay, so usually during this time, during the performance appraisal, post-performance appraisal, you'll be getting your employees to be writing their own individual development plan towards the next financial year. Okay, so that's one way of engaging them and letting them have ownership of their own contribution to the project. So they're actually writing their own performance appraisal as well. Okay, in this IDP, to better scope and scale areas of strength and development. Talents are defined merely capabilities, but skill based that are transferable and portable are very important. Okay, it's not so much the capabilities, but skill based is very important. That is able to be transferred above to the next role. Okay, when they get assigned to or get promoted. What does the growth path of each talent look like? I'm sure everybody wants to know, right? Okay, does the company have something like what we call a growth potential and opportunities, okay, that is visible to the talent? Take note, the word's called visible. Okay, now as managers, sometimes you cannot have that conversation or that question where you ask your employee, so what plans do you have in the next 5 years in this company? Now, you can only ask that question provided you have something visible to show the talent. If you don't have anything to show, all right, then why are you asking that question for? Okay. All right. So here you are asking in the context of growing within the company. So you got to show what is your growth plans. Okay, for the employee to decide and to be able to see. How regular are career growth conversations held? Twice a year? 4 times a year? Instead of training, are there targeted intentional programs like coaching and mentoring designed for talents? Okay, because today we send our people out for training, how much of that thing can be applied back? Okay, so as opposed to internal training, internal coaching and mentoring. Okay. This is one thing. One key skill required of any successful HRBP is influencing others. Okay, like I said earlier, the individual contributors, all right, they can do their work, they're very efficient. But when it comes to influencing others, this soft skill, that's where the challenge is. Okay, so key influencing these others. Who is these others? The key stakeholders in leadership, usually. Okay, able to engage them, to have a conversation with them on a regular basis, especially those on the higher up, right? Now, HRBP sits at a senior level of management. Thus, having a strategic foresight is important to influence decision makers. Right? Equipped with business acumen and knowledge will provide a richer engagement with business leaders. Building visibility at all levels is vital to contribute not just in talent resource management, but harnessing a strong business network and ecosystems towards the business sustainability. Now, what is it trying to say here? Number one, HRBP is now sitting on a very senior level of management. No more the administration, right? Maybe say we talk about the C-suite, your CEOs, your CFOs, your CTO, and all that. Okay, the HRBP is now sitting on that level. Okay, now what does he bring to the table here? He has to understand the business language which they are talking about. Okay, the business direction, the business strategy. And for him to contribute to that area is the right talent. He has the right talent, okay, to help to build that kind of business and to move that business forward. Now, building visibility. How there are many talents out there in the world. Okay, does he know where those talents are? That's what we call the talent resource. Okay, aside from your own talent pool within your own company, where are those other talents out there? Okay, now why is this important to know? Because why? When there's a position in the company, of course we give exclusive right to the internal people to come up to the role first. We offer the role to the internal. Now, if the internal don't want to take it, all right, or they require training before they can assume the role, that will take time, then you cannot build, you have to buy. You have to buy talent. Now, in order to buy talent, your network got to be very wide. Who are those talent out there? Do you have their contacts? Do you know where they are? Are you able to buy them or not? Okay, and of course, their impact if you buy these talents as opposed to build. Either way, build or buy. Okay, so in a very big picture, strategic foresight, we look at the organizational climate within. Okay, how's the company doing? We also look at the business culture. Has it changed because of COVID, for example? We look at the talent resource management. Okay, our internal talent and also our external talent as well. Where are they? All right. It's like building an army. So internally, if your soldiers are weak, where else can you find those soldiers? Okay. And last but not least, to have a big picture of what we call the pestle analysis. Okay. This gives you a very broad picture. PESTL is something which we use as a model to give you a strategic insight. P for politics, E for economics, S for social, T for technology, L for legal, and the other E is for environment. So to look at these 6 things that can trigger a business organization, or can affect the business culture as well. All right. So anything, the pestle is always an external trigger that can affect talent resource, can affect business culture, and can affect an organizational climate. Right. So this is a picture for you. As a HRBP, we must have this sort of strategic POV point of view. Okay, coming to the end. That we talked about just now, the earlier thing, what is idea generation, right? IDEA. Okay, this is an emerging HRBP people strategy. The idea generation is IDEA, I for the innovators, okay, which are the companies constantly doing things differently to challenge the status quo. Now, you may say that these people actually are in startup. You'll be very surprised. Okay, many of them who are in startup don't even last long. Okay, there are reasons why, many reasons why. Okay, we're talking about these innovators. Next, we talk about the D, the disruptors. Okay, who creates new products and services and displace mainstream leaders. Okay, because they work very differently. Their mindset works very differently. They're psychic. Okay, they're fast. I tell you, they're fast. They're very intelligent, and they love change. Okay, they don't like status quo. Now, if their ideas are not being championed or not even heard, they are not given the space to hear them out. These people will move. But don't forget, these people are your creators. They are the new product developers, because they know the market. All right, and then you have the enablers. All right. This could be technology as well, which facilitates effective digital and technological transformation, the platform, okay, which these disruptors were built. And of course, adapters, which transform and adjust their old models to suit ever-changing trends. So as a HRBP, these will be the type of talents which you'll be facing. All right, the innovators, the disruptors, the enablers, the adapters, which are what we call the emerging employees, the Gen Z, I believe, okay, or the millennials, right? So HRBP has to take note of the top people which you are managing. Oh, Q&A already. All right. So that gives you a picture of what HRBP is. Any questions for me? We have 15 minutes. Maybe some areas which in your company or your role which you are challenged by. Anyone? Yes, Tina. Tina raised hand, is it?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for allowing me this question. I just wanted to ask, there seems to be a discussion on evaluating hiring people with operations background as HRBPs. What would be your view on that?
Yeah. So you can see my hand, right? Can you see my hand?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So you are saying that we are having operational people being promoted to HRBP. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, usually these HRBP will be the specialists because why? This HRBP, all right, would be only hiring people from the ops for the ops function, not management, not leadership. Because why? They are actually the meta experts. They are actually technical people, or what we call specialists. Okay. The ops people now, there's no right and wrong here. Now, what happens when these ops technician or specialists rise up to the rank of HRBP? What do you think there'll be? What impact? One impact do you think they will face? No right, no wrong. Just what impact? One impact they will face. Tina?
I think they will have an experience about what the market is all about and the technicalities of the business, but they may not have the eye for managing human resources as a whole.
Let's to put it very specifically. Okay, they are very good in the hard skills. But when we talk about soft skills, there's going to be a problem here. Now, soft skills, very, very specifically, like I mentioned, influencing, okay, and convincing. Now, to who? Where do they apply these two skills to? The upper senior management. Okay, usually with the CFO, the CIO, and the CEO. Because this person, this HRB, has to convince these three clowns, all right, to hire whoever he thinks is correct or appropriate for the role. So he's still very answerable to the HR is answerable to the C-suites. Does he answer that question?
So are we saying that a technical person who is also managing business would not have the knowledge to hire and convince the C-level suite?
He can hire a technical person for sure. But the question would be, what would the C-suite people be looking for that particular role? So it all boils down exactly to the okay, if I were to draw a picture here, okay. So the picture looks like that actually. All right. So the HR, let me see here. The HR BP is actually on the outside because he has to recruit somebody, right? Okay, so now this person has now been identified for the role. So this is what we call the role. Okay, now where did he come from? He's coming from an operational role, which we call he's technically very competent, okay, specialist, right? Can you see a picture here? Now, when it comes to the role here, okay, what is this role's, what are the skills and the competency that he is able to meet? And usually on the top here, what we call the 21st century skills, okay, hard skills, soft skills. If you read Pricewaterhouse PwC's report, right, okay, this one is a very good 80%. Hard skills is 20%. Always in the higher up you go, okay, soft skill is very much needed. Especially for people who are the individual contributors, because the higher up you go, unless it is a track which is a specialist track, usually for a specialist track, the role, okay, which even the how high you go up, you still need the soft skills, you see. All right. You will start out as being a technical person, a technical specialist. Then you move up to be a subject matter expert. You become a domain expert and then become a consultant. Now, this is the track for specialists. Does a company have a track like that for specialists? And usually for a specialist track, this is only 3 levels only, not 5. Management and leader is 5. Specialist only 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So it still comes back to the competency framework, which let me share with all of you. I mentioned I have time to share with you a competency framework which I've built. Like many of my clients are in the factory, you know, like the Japanese companies, they are, you know, like Murata and all that. Okay, they have a lot of engineers. Okay, now can you imagine an engineer being a managing director of a whole plant? Okay, you have to ask yourself, what would be the challenges? Okay, let me share with you something which I've built. Are you able to see my slides? Can you please unmute and say yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you something very comprehensive. You can take a photo. It's a very generic, because every different company's competency is very different because they have to map according to the company's business. I built something very, very generic. All right, I'm going to share with you for free. First, of course, we do all the personality tests, the due diligence. Okay. However, it must be all pointing to this very, very important thing. Please forgive me for the spelling mistake of leadership here. Okay. Let me show you the leadership competency, which I believe every company would have. It's measured by 5 different levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Functional, operational, management, strategic, then the hygiene factors, and the articulation of skills. Ladies and gentlemen, competency framework. Now, this is what I mean by making it visible for the talent to see. Now, the talent is at level 3. If he wants to get promoted at level 4, he needs to know what skills it is needed at level 4. You cannot talk. You got to show this to the person. Now, exactly what who was mentioning about the technical role. Do you have a technical competency? Yes, I do. Technical competency is only 3 levels. They being specialist, subject matter, and domain expert. Hygiene factors, skills level 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, the functional competency for individual contributors. Is this enough? No, this is only part 1. This is only part 1. After building the competency framework, you need to do this as well. So if the person reaches a level 4, what is the salary commensuration? You need to build the benefits rewards. Remember just now the article said? Because I cannot be at the level 5 and still earning a level 1 kind of salary. So how do you benchmark the salary at these levels, different levels? Having a very visible competency framework will tell me, okay, certain areas of the skills I don't have, you can send me for courses. Next, with a visible competency framework, now you can help build a career development plan for an employee. Now, you definitely have what we call the high achievers, the high performers, the outstanding talents, which they are able to do. Then you 20% up the capacity loading. That means up the skills level, up by another 20%. So your competency framework must be justified by commensuration, courses to be sent to, building the career development plan, and the 20% up for the high performers to increase their capacity. This whole thing, this whole entire strategy is the work of the HRBP. Right. Thank you very much, everybody. Stay safe and enjoy your weekend. Bye.